Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning into the Boxing Authorities. Joining me at the desk, as always, Luther Dupree Jr., Smoking Jim Frazier, and my name is Claudio Relsano. Upcoming fights, July 9th, WBC, I'll say it again, WBC featherweight champ Mark Magsayo versus former champ Rey Vargas. You're not really too high on Magsayo.
Well, he lost to Gary Russell with one arm, so I'm not impressed at all. I think Rey Vargas beats him, dominates him in 12 rounds.
Oh.
I wasn't impressed. Gary Russell was out there with one arm. He should have finished this. He got a boxing lesson with a guy who was fighting with one arm, to me. I mean, he was throwing punches, but he was missing moves. You know, they're trying to get the next Pacquiao and all these guys. I didn't see it, but I think Gary Russell won this fight. I look for Rey Vargas to dominate him in 12 rounds. I'm not impressed with Mark. I don't think he, yes, he goes hard, but I think you can outbox him. I don't know how great his power is. He hit Gary Russell with a few shots, but didn't hurt him at all.
I think he's a little long with his punches. I would try to shorten him up. Reason why I like him, to be honest with you, because he loves Vinny Paz. He invited Vinny to the fight. So I'm going to go with him. I'm looking forward to the fight. Smoking Jim, your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I'm so happy we got that Russell title away from Russell.
Why?
Because he sat on it like he was
They
hatching
wouldn't
an
fight
egg.
him. They wouldn't fight him.
Listen, everybody says that Gary Russell only had one arm, but he's using both of them.
He stopped. Jim, he stopped doing it.
The body shots was very relentless. Somebody's got to go. Both of them are undefeated. I'm siding a little bit with Mark because Rey is really coming up in weight. He's moving up in weight. He's tall.
He's long.
He's long. But I think that future of boxing, man, is with the Filipino. Yeah, I like it.
Future of boxing.
I'm going to start with him on this one because he likes this guy for some reason. I'm not ripping on him. I'm just not a huge fan. Derek Chisora.
But you never gave her.
Yeah.
Me? I like Mark Magsayo. I think he's going to win. I think he has a nice future in front of him. I think he's going to be a little bit of a name.
Reading off my notes.
A little bit. It's hard. I'm reading off the different colored.
This may be the first time you two were right and I was wrong.
But he reminds me a little bit of Ryan Garcia.
Ooh.
Just a little bit.
What's your pinstripes?
What's that?
What's your pinstripes?
I know. You guys.
Wait. Who reminds you of Ryan
Magsayo.
Garcia? Why? He's on Instagram?
Mechanic? No.
Oh.
Just physically.
Oh.
Mechanics and the whole 9 yards. But I think he's young. He's going to improve from his fights from Russell.
Okay.
I think he
I hope
learned
so.
from it. Again, I think he's a little long, but that's something that can be fixed. I like his athleticism.
He's very
got
athletic.
Some,
That's
he's
true.
got some pop to him. And the thing, again, I go back to, like I said about Beterbiev, he's serious. Garcia at first for a while. Hopefully he's becoming more serious, which we're going to get to Garcia in a second. But I like to see a guy who takes his vocation seriously. We kind of weren't crazy about Trevor Bryan, his last fight, okay? But then again, like you said, maybe that's his look. I don't know. But Garcia needs to take his fight serious a little more, and he seems like he's fighting more often. Magsayo, I like him. I think he's got a nice, bright future in front of him, and so I'm in his corner for sure. Before we get to Garcia, Derek Chisora versus Kubrat Pulev in the heavyweights. Your thoughts on that fight, Jim? Because you like Chisora.
One of my favorite fighters of all time because he'll fight. This
lose.
is a guy, he's 6'2".
Fight and lose.
He has 12 losses and 32 wins.
I mean, you rip on Evander all the time for 10 losses, but Evander lost to big guys.
I mean, my favorite fighter is Jersey Joe Walcott, and he got 18 losses. So it ain't the losses. It's, I'm just, making a point. But this is a guy that I love because he'll fight. If you're a fighter, fight. He's 38 years old, and he's still fighting. He's fighting a guy that's 41 years old and only has 2 losses. And both of them are come forward type guys, so it should be a very entertaining fight in the best era heavyweights.
We're going to get to more of that fight when it comes a little closer, but your thoughts on Chisora Pulev? Do you care?
No. These are two guys hanging on for a check. Never was impressed with Derek Chisora. He would get in there, but this is why I love the UK fans. This guy's 10 double-digit losses, and people still come out and support this guy. In the USA, sometimes a guy will get 1 or 2 losses, and people want to throw him away.
They always loved Evander here.
Anyway, and Kubrat Pulov is another guy, older. It should be an exciting fight, but neither one of these guys are going to make a dent. I'm glad they can still get a check. Hope nobody comes out with any severe damage. But it's not. It doesn't register.
Doesn't register. Good point. You know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to go off script here in a second. And you said that UK fans are going to watch it. Every fight that we watch on TV is packed.
Yeah.
Whether it's a huge card or whatever, but every card and the cards that we've attended are packed. So I don't want to hear that boxing's in trouble. I mean, we feel that they can promote the fighters more, correct?
Yeah.
There's always things that could be better, but boxing is doing damn good.
Yeah.
Look at the Serrano.
Katie Taylor.
Katie Taylor fight, packed.
Right.
And
Madison Square
And got
Garden.
attention. Madison Square Garden. How great is boxing doing now? I mean, really, even in the 80s, but you still had the Leonards and Haglers and Hearns, and Holmes did his thing with Cooney. They jammed. Boxing never, I don't think it ever really hurt at 10 flies, did it?
In the 80s, it kind of would, and you know, the late 80s. But then once Tyson came, we energized the entire sport because it had been done, the drugs and different things hit the heavyweight division especially. But once Tyson got in there and got everything, he changed it.
Again, you're coming with no facts, but I know
No,
you get
no,
your
no.
feeling. That's your feeling.
No, it's a
So how you
fact.
felt.
It's a fact. It was okay. So in the late '80s, there weren't a lot of heavyweights that
Oh, you're
got
talking
taken out
heavyweights.
by
I
on the
thought
drugs.
he said boxing.
Well, what do you
I know
always
he said
What do you
heavyweights.
always say?
Yeah.
Boxing goes
Yeah.
as heavyweights
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I'm using your logic, Tim.
Yeah.
Huh?
And
Am
we
I
still-
right?
Another
Am
L?
I right?
Another L?
I'm using your logic.
Yeah, but he said boxing. If you're using my
No,
logic,
your logic says
if
boxing
you're-
goes as heavyweights
If you're using
go.
my logic, then we still don't have no heavyweight boxers in the United States.
What are you talking about?
Who's on your right?
Deontay
Oh,
Wilder
he's
held the
retired.
belt.
He's retired.
And that's
And
not
his-
true.
and his
He had-
statue's
he
at a
had
truck
10
stop.
title-
Who's
He
the
had
other
10
one?
title defenses. Jared Big Baby Anderson is coming up. And then we just had somebody out of
Coming
the
up.
amateurs.
We got somebody coming up.
Big
Is he in
Baby?
it?
Is Big Baby a top 10?
No, I ain't see him in the top 10. Is he in your top? He's in your top 10.
He's in my top 10.
Okay.
Jared Big Baby's in
Where
the
do you
top
have
10.
him?
Where do you have him
I
at?
probably got him in the top 10.
Where's that out? That
probably
garbage
Where's he
list.
at on that list?
That book of trash.
Got him in the top 10.
Ryan Garcia is fighting Javier Fortuna, lightweights. Luther, we'll start with you.
Listen, Ryan Garcia has all the talent in the world.
Say it
but
again.
He wants to be an Instagram model. Every time
He
there's a
is.
fight, he's tweeting. He's on Gatorade commercials with Damian Lillard, which is huge. But he never fights. He's the pull-out king. He's not King Ryan. Stop being a pull-out king and be a king in the ring. This guy, Javier Fortuna, is a guy moving up. The last time we saw him, JoJo Diaz just destroyed him, beat him badly. We'll see. He's a dirty fighter. He uses every trick in the book. He throws elbows. And we know from seeing Ryan in sparring against Rolly, against other guys, he doesn't like to get touched. He doesn't like guys, doing it. So I think earlier on, I think Fortuna is going to make it dirty. But I think Ryan has too much talent. And I think that left hook gets Javier later on in the fight, maybe 9th round.
Excellent points. I'm going to add a word, though, that he has to bring in the ring, and that's discipline. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. You can be emotional, but don't let them get the best of you. Fortuna is going to make it dirty.
You're right.
Okay.
One thing about Ryan, he's so flat-footed.
Which he
in
should
that
be.
ring.
He's a good athlete.
He's a good athlete, but he's very flat-footed. So when he fights a Tank Davis or Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko, that's going to present some problems for him. But he's not going to have problems beyond the 4th round against Fortuna.
Would you
because he
agree
has too
this
much
is a
talent.
fight he better start that moving lane, getting that moving lane?
Nah, no. I mean, Fortuna's not a guy that's going to be able to hurt him. He's a guy moving up. His power didn't transfer. And I
he's
saw
dirty, though.
And he's dirty, but he's also dirty and get caught with that left hook that Ryan Garcia has.
I'm just glad he's fighting.
We'll
And
see.
he's-
Well, I'm not going to say he's fighting until I see him step in the ring because he still has time to pull out.
All right.
And we know that's a specialty. Instagram and pulling out.
Jim?
Fights, that is.
I got Big Baby Anderson as number 10.
Okay, so you're saying what I said. All right, Jim, we're on another topic now.
So I just wanted to show that. Everybody's been asking about that. Listen, Ryan Garcia may be
The greatest of all time.
Here we
one
go
of the
with the
most
craziness.
one of the most talented to come through since Sugar Ray
Instagram.
Leonard. This is a guy that can do everything. You guys weren't even fight during the pandemic. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody took off from boxing. Like Claudio said, he's
the man
back.
said he was fighting Manny Pacquiao.
He's back fighting
Come
now.
on, man.
He's back fighting now. You know, I think that he's the pound for pound in the lightweight division, the best in the world. I
You
don't
didn't
see
have him
anybody
rated
beating
that
him.
way.
I always had him beat
We just
better
did a
than
list, Jim.
all your brothers. I had him beating all your
We
brothers.
just had a list. You ain't have him number one.
Pardon me?
You didn't have him
I
number
had
one.
I had him number 2 because he can't beat Ali. I had him 1B. One B.
That ain't the
and
top,
Ali
Jim.
was no.
Okay, I'm just saying. You're all
One
out.
is one. Number 1 is number
No,
1.
not with you, because you got A, B, C, and D. So, but all right,
So,
Jim.
but yeah, I'm happy that he's fighting. A couple months later, he's got to still get used to Guzan, his new trainer, if they're still together. But this guy is the best thing for boxing. He's like a young Oscar De La Hoya, who was the Golden Boy, had the good looks.
Right.
The people could get behind him.
Oscar would fight anybody. His resume, top to bottom.
How many
you know,
fights did he have?
As much as
Oh,
I
he
dis-
fought every-
How many fights
He
did he
fought
have?
everyone.
No, I'm
though.
saying,
He
how many
fought
fights did he
everybody.
have?
Listen, he may
How
not
many
have
fights did he have?
150.
Okay,
but
well,
listen,
well.
he fought everybody.
Well,
He
if you
fought the
say
top.
Chavez fought
everybody,
quality fights.
he had
listen,
110
Chavez had a
fights.
couple, had a lot
Yeah,
of
he had
bums.
110
He had a-
fights.
Yeah, but a lot of
No,
bums.
I'm
Those
saying
he
guys
had
were
quality
bums.
opponents,
He had quality,
not
Jim.
quantity.
He fought the top guys. As much as I don't like him with his emails and the fishnets that he likes to wear, he fought everybody in the ring.
Well,
You
what's
wear
this got to
fishnets
do-
one time, and you get your back busted
Yeah,
over that.
I never had
How are you
fishnets on.
disagreeing with me when I said that he is like a young
But he's
Oscar
not.
De La
He's
Hoya?
not.
Is he good looking?
Jim, you
There,
judge,
this is what
you
I
judge
put.
me.
I said he's good looking.
Okay, you like judging men, I
The
don't.
fans love him, and you already said he's a star of Instagram, just
Yeah, but
like
in the
Oscar
ring,
De La
in the
Hoya.
I
ring.
said in the ring. De La Hoya
I
had
mentioned
He backed it up.
outside.
He backed it up.
I said talent-wise, he reminds me of a young Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh,
but as far as
I don't think he does
as
that.
far as the media attention, he's good looking like Oscar De
How
La
many times you
Hoya.
gonna say he's good looking, Jim?
He's-
I ain't never heard a man talk about a man like
man,
that.
I'm just telling. Like,
segment, you
I
said
didn't
he's
say
good
that
looking
about
7
James
times.
Stoney, did I? You got James Stoney's poster on your wall?
I think that the thing that
We
he
talking boxing, you
the
talking
thing
about
that's
looks.
good about Garcia is he brings. I think you'll agree. He brings a set of eyes to
Thank
the
you.
boxing
Thank
that other people don't, like Oscar did. Okay,
You
am
put
I
the
right?
words better than me.
Yeah, that's
But
not easy.
but
That's not hard to
Oscar
do.
backed it up. Garcia has to back it up.
Exactly.
Okay,
Good
Oscar
point.
was
Good
hungry.
point,
He's
Claudia.
23 years old.
Oscar, when he was
Oscar,
that age-
when he was 23, was fighting in the Olympics or whatever.
Well, but again, Oscar, like Luther said, he didn't have 1,000 fights, but quality.
No, he didn't.
At
No,
the
he
top,
quality.
everybody
Why
at the
should
top
he?
of that era, he fought him. You can't say he ducked anybody.
Zero.
He fought every single one of them. The
Different
Floyds,
styles.
Trinidad,
I didn't
the
s-
Bernard
Yeah,
Hopkins.
I'm not knocking
We got to
Oscar.
see if
fought
Garcia has
Gaddy,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Who
we gotta
was
see if
better,
Garcia-
Oscar De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard?
For me,
Sugar
Leonard.
Ray.
Okay, that's what I said. Talent-wise, Garcia is
But he
Sugar
doesn't
Ray.
remind me of Sugar Ray.
No, how?
He don't remind me of Sugar
Talent-wise,
Ray.
he's the
How?
most talented since Sugar Ray.
In what
Now,
way?
y'all
Wait,
wanna-
Luther said he was flat-footed. What
I
the hell did you
said-
see
I
Sugar Ray?
said the
How?
golden boy
What?
look.
What-
He got the golden boy look with the
No,
good look
what makes you
and the
think,
media
okay, Sugar Ray,
attention.
what makes, give me some reasons that makes you think Sugar Ray
Undefeated
would-
at 23.
Yeah, but that's
A lot of-
Undefeated.
there's a-
Fast
so is-
hands.
so is Devin
Fast hands. Fast hands.
Okay.
Now, Devin Haney.
Does he move like Sugar Ray?
Come on, Devin
He's-
Haney.
I'm
only,
asking you. No,
only
no,
moves
no,
on my
no.
note that keeps his slave name, Haney. Come on, it should be Devin X, shouldn't it? You know it, Lou.
There you go.
You
Chill.
know it.
Chill,
Don't give me
please.
that. Don't get me started
All
on
right,
Devin
all
fake
right.
religion.
Listen, Farrakhan. Listen. I'll ask you one simple question. How does he remind you? You said he has fast hands. There's a lot of guys with fast hands. What else reminds you of Sugar Ray Leonard?
His cousin's name is Sparrow D. Agnew, but he's a Muslim too.
So nothing. All right.
He answered you.
Yeah, you just wanted to say that.
Then, this week, my boy, who I'm still not done. Okay, again, we can have a segment, Upset Luther. I'm still not done with him. I still think he's got a shot to make some noise in the division. I like his skills. For his size, he should have a little more power, but he's got some pop to him, and he's going to be hungrier, not just food-wise. Jarrell, the real Big Baby Miller. 23-0-1, 20 knockouts. He's fighting for the first time in 4 years against a veteran, what do you call him? Journeyman,
How
whatever.
much more power you want? He knocked out all but 3.
Yeah, but he's all right.
Yeah, well, we don't know how he
Yeah.
knocked them all out. He
Ariel,
was suspended for a reason.
Esteban.
Now, we'll see if he has all that power and all that endurance without all the enhancements that he was
the
using.
help. 11-7-6. This is a good opponent for him. He's got to blow right through him, and not only that, but get in a momentum, fight again. And I think I said this in remember our predictions at the beginning of the year. I said you're going to see Big Baby against Big Baby before the end of 2022.
Ooh, he
I
want
don't
that.
know if he's going to be ready for
doesn't want
that
those
just
problems.
yet.
Is he still dating Wilder's woman?
Oh, come on, Jim. Listen, anyway, first of all, Jared Miller needs to get rid of that nickname. That name is officially Jared Big Baby Anderson.
He's going to add the real.
Listen, I got a name for him. How about Big Pharma or Pharma Bro? Don't say Big Baby anymore. That's gone.
He served
because of what
he
did.
served his penalty.
Yeah, 4 years. I mean, we'll see if
Isn't
he
that
learns
crazy?
anything.
It didn't seem like 4
Listen,
years. though,
Listen,
did it?
this man was suspended from the, MMA, suspended from this is his last shot. I want to see how he looks because before he had endurance, could throw a lot of punches. We'll see without all that enhancement if he's the same fighter. He's fighting a guy, Uber driver, Esteban. He should knock him out in 3 or 4 rounds, 7 losses, no power, only 6 KOs. I don't know. I've never been impressed with Big Baby Miller, and that's before I knew he had all that pharmaceutical stuff going.
Good for boxing or not? I say he is.
What a drug?
Okay, he
We
paid
got
for
enough
it.
drug
He
cheats.
paid
We
his
don't
price.
need another.
But he's
I
not
don't
going to
know.
sit there and wear earphones and look around during a fight.
Yeah, but he'll get suspended for using illegal substances.
hopefully he won't this
We'll
time.
see.
Hopefully he won't this
Listen,
time.
I don't think he adds anything.
There's no way in hell he's gonna
I don't
do it
like
again.
guys
No
who
way.
cheat the sport, who put that stuff in them. You could hurt someone.
Or
No,
himself.
I'd like to see him lose.
I don't think he's going to do that again. No way in hell is he going to.
Well, he did it after he left MMA. Came back, did the same thing in boxing.
Is he
You know.
good for boxing?
Great for boxing. This is what we need, especially in
More-
America when we
more
don't
drug
have any
cheats.
heavyweights that can carry a press conference. This is a guy that's great
We don't
for
have a
boxing.
statue.
He's going. He can just talk it. Some guys can just talk it. He can talk it. He can walk it. And he's only 33 years old.
Only 33.
Only 33.
He doesn't have a lot of miles on him,
Yeah.
so he's a young 33. Just like Joyce is a
We
young.
don't know what all
is he,
that
37?
pharmaceutical stuff did to his body either. We'll
And he
see.
paid the price. He lost
4
a lot
years.
of money.
He's the only man, only boxer really that's really paid a price. The other guys,
Yeah, just
6
him.
months,
Right.
come right back. Fury, right back. Canelo, right back. Dillian
What,
White,
what do they
right
say
back.
when somebody goes to jail and he paid his debt to society?
Debt
Yeah,
to
he did his
society.
thing.
Man.
So let's hope he turns things
I
around.
thought he got a lifetime ban. I'm surprised he's back.
Well,
I
he's
thought-
fighting in Argentina. Is he allowed to fight here in the States?
Maybe not. Maybe he didn't get his license back here yet.
'Cause I remember
If he
Muhammad
makes-
Ali could only fight in Georgia. That's why he fought Jerry Quarry at that time in 1970 in Atlanta.
And what a way! And speaking of that, he could have fought some guy with a 6-8-2 record, but he fought a damn tough Jerry Quarry. Now you got to give Muhammad credit for
after
that.
74, that's all he
Oh,
fought.
Well, I'm talking about right after his.
You're right. You're
Luther,
right.
he has not been in the ring in however many years, and he fights Jerry Quarry.
Yeah, that was tough, yeah.
Yeah, give him
That's
credit.
hard. That's
Yeah,
why he's
give
the
him
greatest.
He didn't fight some guy.
That's why he's the
I
greatest.
can't give him credit from 74 to 78
Jim.
when he was
All
champ.
right.
I give him credit
When we
for
come
that.
back, our popular segment you guys keep asking for, we're going to keep giving it to you. Overrated, underrated, when we come back to the boxing authorities. Welcome back to the boxing authorities. Overrated, underrated. Sonny Liston.
Very underrated. Listen, I know he had tabs to the mob and mafia. Very underrated. A lot of people give Rocky credit. He had ties as well, Claudio. Very underrated.
Why do we
people
have to
should
go there
People
for all
should
the
have him in the top 10. Power like no other. Sonny Liston was a bad boy.
Underrated jab. Everybody talks about Holmes. For me, the greatest of all time was Buster Douglas' jab. But when Liston hit you with that jab, he hit you.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone say, I'm going to say underrated. I think he should be talked about a little bit more. Smoking Jim.
Underrated.
Marvelous.
Sweet.
Marvin Hagler. I'm going to start with you.
Oh, my goodness.
One of the most overrated guys that put on boxing gloves.
Why?
Well, number one, Marvin Hagler, you got to give it to him as far as his work ethic.
Yes, sir.
When you go to Brockton, you will not see a statue of this ball-headed man. This is a guy that his work ethic took, a marginal blue-collar talent to, one of the betters in that era, which was a weak era for middleweights. His claim to fame is grabbing guys 20 pounds lighter and bringing them up and beating and winning on decision against their name, except for he knocked out Tommy Hearns. Other than that,
Great round. That Tommy Hearns.
was there.
Legendary.
I see it all the time.
Hearns Hagler first round was look at this. These are guys going at it, Jim. You don't see this. He took
see
some
it all
shots.
the time.
No, you don't. You don't see guys coming in the first round just
like
throwing.
Hearns.
Look at that.
Yeah.
If
He didn't budge.
If Hearns had a
Looks like the
chin,
Golden Glove to me.
Did Hagler even budge?
woo! Look at those
Luke,
shots.
did Hagler budge?
No.
And Hearns get hit,
Yeah,
obviously.
Hearns could hit. Hagler could take a punch. Man, this was one of the greatest rounds in boxing history. A throwback round. Look at these guys throwing that leather, Jim.
Look at that, Jeff. Luther, you know what? Jim said something that I agree with, but I just don't want to leave it there.
Jim
He
said
his
nothing I agree with.
He
Nothing.
said work ethic. Yes, he worked hard, but he was a skilled fighter. He wasn't some
Right.
bum that
Jim
could
acts like
look
he
at
was
him.
just a barroom
Look
fighter.
at his jab. Look at
You
that
know?
jab he threw before he leaped, he leapt, and he hit Hagler accurate. He was not a bum. I mean, he
Right.
wasn't just a guy who worked hard. He had some skill to him.
Except he had a lot of skill. He understood the game plan.
Look at
him. He
him.
always had his high
Short,
guard.
quick,
He had a great
compact, that's
chin.
right.
Exactly. He
Look
was
at that
always
uppercut.
in position to catch and shoot. I like Marvin Hagler, man. Because he wasn't flashy. Jim likes the flash.
Was he overrated?
No, he
No.
was not. No, he was not. I think he was underrated because people like Smoking Jim and old media don't give him the credit he should get. He was one of the four kings for a reason.
Did I
man.
miss
These
him at the
guys.
76 Olympics? Did I miss him in 72
Listen,
or
we're
76?
talking pros.
No, I'm
You
just
guys go
asking.
back, you
I'm
go
just
back
asking.
to amateurs when it's convenient for you,
He
Jim.
needed to make money. He said skip the Olympics.
Exactly.
No, because he couldn't make them. Yeah, he skipped
Oh,
them,
I
'cause he
think
couldn't
I
make 'em.
think he'd have done well.
He would have definitely done well.
he tried.
Underrated.
There's
tried.
guys again. Donnie Lalonde skipped because he wanted to make a buck. Jerry Cooney skipped because he wanted to make a buck.
Hagler tried his best to make the cut.
No, I tell you the
Some
truth.
guys wanted to make the buck, some couldn't make the cut.
I give him all the credit in the world. Again, the work when you say somebody has work ethic,
That's a
that
skill
doesn't
too.
mean
That's
that
a skill
he
too.
wasn't skilled.
There's a lot of guys with talent who don't get the most out of it. And
Yeah.
he got the most out of his talent.
Yeah, he brought all
You know
them,
what I mean?
all them guys that was 20 pounds lighter than
Jim,
him.
he's
he brought
one of the
them all
four
up.
kings. He one of the
He
four
fought some
kings.
guys. Okay, Tommy Hitman Hearns, overrated, underrated.
Man, I think he's kind of overrated a little bit, man. I mean, he had the skills, but his chin was so questionable. I think if he had a better chin, we could be talking about the greatest in history.
he had
I
the
mean,
punch,
he had the offense, but that chin, you could crush that chin, and we saw it get cracked a number of times. But my favorite fight, what he did to Roberto Duran,
Yeah.
I never saw anybody do that to Roberto
Why you
Duran.
gotta bring that up?
I'm just saying, that's what I was like, oh man, this guy is something else. Nobody's ever done that to Hands of Stone.
And forgive me, you can say, which you have done this show, overrated, underrated, or he's good where he's at. I apologize.
But
Don't give him no.
No, I mean, I do think he's a
Little overrated?
little overrated because his chin was just not there.
Very underrated, freak of nature. Tommy Hearns' power, speed, it showed his boxing ability when he had to. Extremely, extremely underrated. One of the freaks of nature.
I'm going to say he's good where he's at. I know what you're saying, and he's remembered for doing well against Sugar Ray, and then what? Getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Doing, going in there banging away with Hagler, but what? Getting knocked out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say he's good where he's at.
I don't get. Come on, we change either he underrated or overrated.
No, I think he's good.
Where he's
I
at.
think he's good where he's at.
I never
I don't think. I like because you had that a few fights ago. Remember?
Yeah, he had it,
And I like it.
He has that in everything, whether it's overrated or underrated.
I said it one time, Jim. I said it one
Wait a
time.
minute. You're the king. You're the king. Jim, is he going to win? Yeah, how? He's either going to win by a knockout or a decision. Now, who the hell rides the fence
TKO,
better than him?
KO, or
Well, I ain't
decision?
Dr. Spin.
Oh man, you're worse.
Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Oh, I think he's underrated, man. Boom Boom had some classic knockouts. This guy, look at this guy, would go toe to toe. I think he's underrated. When people talk about the greats and the excitement, look at the crowd, man. I think he's underrated, man. Boom Boom was an exciting fighter. I'd like him to get more credit.
Jim?
Well, if he fought Alexis Aguero, he would lose 100 times out of 100. But other than that, there's nobody I love more than
Whoa, that left.
Boom Boom Mancini.
Oh, my
Boom Boom
goodness.
Mancini was. You didn't miss no Boom Boom Mancini fights,
Yeah.
man.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Woo.
Just, I say underrated. Did you say underrated,
Of
Luke?
course I said underrated.
Okay.
You finally
I'm
got
just
one
asking.
right. Yeah. Get your-
One of the
get out
most
there,
exciting
buddy.
fighters of all time. You see, he just threw punches
Oh,
and
my
punches and punches.
Yeah.
Always in great shape. Still in great shape. But for me, he's underrated. I think he should be ranked a little higher. He didn't, like he said, his style was not meant for a long career. His exact words, I wanted to make my score and get out. And he did. And his comeback against Camacho, I thought he won that fight. And he explains in his book that, read his book, it's a great book. But I think he's underrated. But still one of the most popular champions
Would you guys
ever.
agree that he could never beat Alexis Aguero?
He fought Alexis when he was young, and he was winning the fight. Okay, then Alexis caught him. I think in a year or two, a little more seasoned experience, I think, because
You thought he was winning that fight?
he was winning the fight. He's what on my TV he was. Okay, now here we can't wait for this one now. Jersey Joe Walcott, which he brings up every show too.
Every show, I think Jersey Joe was a great fighter. He had a unique style as we look here, man.
Joe Louis.
I kind of think he's a little overrated.
Really?
Man. I do. I
You
mean,
do your
he was-
homework. You ain't doing your homework.
No. Listen, he had a unique style. He would do some things, but I think he's a little overrated. I think he's a great fighter, yes, but I think he's a little overrated. He was tough. He was one of the greats, but people have him, I think, a little too high.
Really?
I'd say a little overrated. I mean, I like the style. I mean, he was ahead of his time. Some of the stuff.
Did you
he
see
would
that
do.
for a quarter of a
Look,
second?
look at
That
it,
looked
look
like
at it.
Ali. It really did.
He was
But
a little
look at
ahead
him.
of his
Look
time,
at
man.
him.
He was an amazing fighter, man.
Yes, he
He was
was.
an amazing fighter.
Look at that.
So I mean, I might say he's good where he's at, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he's good where he's at.
Oh, man,
Jim?
when you folks don't do their homework. First of all, Jersey Joe Walcott, did you see the hairline? He couldn't get
Now you want a
fights.
hairline.
In his prime, he couldn't get fights. Nobody wanted to fight this guy. He had a style.
hairline gotta
His
do with
style was so unique. People always say that the guy that Floyd Mayweather's style, he invented it. No, it was actually James Toney had that style. But they all got it from
Armstrong had
Jersey
that style,
Joe
too.
Walcott. Jersey Joe was a master. This guy could throw shots you couldn't see. Most of his knockouts, they couldn't
That's
see
right.
the shots
They couldn't
coming.
see it.
True,
Mar-
yeah.
Marciano
You know?
didn't see that punch. He knocked him down the first round.
Yeah. So, Jersey Joe Walcott, he was overrated as a referee, but as a fighter, he was extremely
That's true.
underrated.
That's true. He went like this. Wait a minute. He went over to the corner, and these guys are still fighting. Wait a minute, it's over. What, can you imagine that happening today?
Oh, my goodness.
Tyson being a referee or Holyfield being that was great. That was fun. That was good, Jim. I think he's underrated. He's known, unfortunately, for the loss to Marciano.
Yeah.
Don't forget, though, he was winning that fight pretty handily. And Rocky always said, and Rocky had some big fights, tough. But he said Walcott was the
How
best
old
he
was
ever
he when he
fought.
fought Rocky? He was up there, wasn't he? He was kind of old.
We can't
He was
give
another-
we
he
can't
was
give
another
Rocky any
old-
credit at all.
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying?
He was kind of old.
But he
I
was
think
good.
his hairline was way back. It
And
was
he-
back as far as Jim's.
The problem was his shorts. He needed the white shorts because if you saw the white shorts, he'd look a little quicker.
Right.
But Jersey Joe Walcott, stylistically, I loved watching. I loved the moves, the footwork, the head movement, and then he would move this way, and you would think he was going to throw it right. What would he do? Throw it left.
Yeah, he was
And he
ahead
was
of his
quicker
time. Yeah.
than people gave him credit for. He moved. He could hit. And you got to remember something with these older guys who 18 they would, hey, Jersey, you want to fight? Yeah, win tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, they would fight a
That's-
million times. Yeah.
Right. And they would fight. They'd fight a hard fight, and they'd fight again in 2 months.
Yeah.
Muhammad too. You got to say that.
And that's why the sport, was so much bigger in the U.S. because you could see these guys on the ring. Now you see them
Right.
once. They may
Exactly.
not fight but once or
Y'all
twice
exactly.
a year.
Y'all
Exactly.
always slide them.
No, he's right.
Huh?
Y'all
Well,
slide
Muhammad
off.
he fought a tough fight, and he
But
fought
that's
again in
what
3
I'm
months.
saying,
Man,
yes.
had
Now,
50 fights.
They were in front of the
listen,
camera all the time,
Exactly.
in your face. I should say.
Exactly. Like the
But
only
Jersey
one really
Joe,
fights like that now is maybe Canelo gets a bunch of fights.
Thank you.
But We don't know
Thank you.
why.
Jersey
He
Joe,
has some
definitely
enhancements, too.
underrated. He beat Joe Louis. Joe Louis walked out of the ring.
Yeah.
They had to bring him back
Yeah,
in.
had to bring him back
Jersey
in.
Joe was unbelievable. Jack Johnson, legend.
Woo! Very underrated. What he had to fight against. You know, if you look at the crowd, you know, on some of his fights, it was just him and a whole crowd of people that wanted him to lose. You
No,
know,
they wanted him to
they wanted him to
get
die.
killed.
Yeah, I mean, look at the crowd. I mean, just the whole fighting style was different back then. I mean, you would
How
knock
about
a
when
guy
they stand
out,
over you?
stand over
Oh,
you, knock
man.
you down
And he
again.
was the greatest at that. He jumped on
He would
you.
jump on you. It was wrestling, boxing. I mean, he was a monster. I don't think he gets enough credit. And then sometimes the police would cut off.
Oh, look.
Look at the
That
muscle
knockout
tone.
there, the
Look at the
muscle
muscle
tone was
tone on him.
just, you could just hold a guy. Look, now this is what I'm talking
Watch-
about.
watch
You can
this,
just
watch.
The referee looks.
He
Is
waits.
he going to get up? He's standing.
didn't even give him a count,
Let me
Luke.
get him again. Bang.
Look at that.
You don't want to get up? All right, wait. Then he comes back, bam, hits him again, knocks him through the ropes. Is he going to get up? And I think here the crowd even picks him up.
Yeah,
And forces
can you
him.
imagine?
No, you're
Look
not
at
done.
that.
Get back in there and get some more. Get it on. Now there's 4 people in the ring. You know, so
Crazy,
what he had
crazy.
to go up against, you know, you didn't know if
Was
somebody
that
else was
Jess
going to jump
Willard?
in.
That was Jess Willard.
Yes, Willard, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the thing Luther brings up, and before we get to you, Jim, I mentioned how Haney
Look at all
had
those
to
people
go.
in the ring. Who's going to throw a punch at me next?
I mentioned how Haney had to go to foreign territory, and he showed maturity. Jack Johnson was in his own state. It was, you know, in his own world, country, I should say. I apologize.
Then would be driving back by himself. You know,
Yeah,
some of these
you
country
know,
roads. And,
it's so important to, like, I tell my wife and daughter, you guys give me a clear head to go out and do my work.
Right.
Do this show, coach, whatever. I don't have to worry about anything. Think about all the hell Jack Johnson had to go through, but he was able to focus on his craft whenever he had to focus on it. And we can't set that aside and say, oh, yeah, he did. No, that was hard. So physically, he had to train, but he also had the mental thing, like Luther said. Are they going to do something? Are they going to screw me over? And what's going to happen? And I give him a ton of credit. I say he's underrated, considering the whole pie, everything he had to go through. And he did go through it, and he was successful in doing so.
went to jail a number of times, and then
Yeah.
as I told you before, invented the wrench. while
Yeah,
he was in jail.
I'm glad you mentioned
You know,
that. Yeah.
Another thing, he won a fight, and then, you know, you never know, somebody could get killed later on that night because he won a fight. So it was just a lot he had to deal with.
Why do I have a
that's why I'm
feeling he's going to
underrated.
explode here? Go ahead.
Do you have another thing? Well, how this man lasted by not hanging from a tree in that area. Man, I mean, this man, listen, not only did he have brand new cars, not only was he driving around with white women, which was forbidden, then he married a white woman. That's what got him put in jail. You know, Emmett Till whistles at a white girl at 14 years old. He gets hung. So it was really amazing how this guy just had so much courage.
Right.
During that time, a story that a fella told me
Oh,
that
Smokepedia.
around that same
Do
era.
that thing you have disclaimer.
Disclaimer,
And
right? Oh, my
this
goodness.
black farmer ended up getting a mule, which was a huge thing. So all the white friends of this one white guy that didn't have no mule, he said, "You see, Buford got a mule." Next day, "You see, Buford got a mule." About 2 weeks later, that mule got killed, and Buford moved away. So it was tough, you know, back then, you know, for him to do what he did.
That's what I'm saying.
And
He
then
was-
had the right
Right.
mind to invent the wrench.
That's what I'm saying.
Something
Gotta
that
give him
I
credit.
use every year.
You don't use no wrench. Liquid wrench. Manny Pacquiao.
I love Manny Pacquiao. You know, he gave it his all, but I think he's very overrated. People had him up there, him and Floyd, but he got slapped numerous times, went to sleep in the ring. Yes, he was a very exciting fighter. Yes, he came up a million weight classes from like 108 probably up to 154. But I think he's a little overrated. Great fighter, Hall of Fame fighter, but I saw one list where they said he was the greatest of all time. Come on, he's not there. Exciting, great, yes. The best ever? No, very overrated.
I'm with you to the point. I think great fighter. I never, again, this is me, okay? Like Canelo, I don't understand why everybody wants to watch it on pay-per-view. I don't, for me, I don't get it. Boomer Mancini, he threw every punch. You saw it. You knew why people were excited about him. Canelo, I don't get it. Pacquiao, I didn't get the attraction. That's just me. Overrated. Jim?
Well, I don't think I still can't believe that the people in the Philippines did not vote for him to be president or prime minister or whatever they had.
lost
I thought
that
I could
Didn't
not
help.
understand,
He
but
lost
this
to
is,
Ugas.
this is one of the most underrated fighters in boxing history. Just a great guy to move up from 112 all
You
the
said
way up.
underrated?
Very underrated,
Okay.
yeah.
When we come back, I'm going to give, what do you say? Give him an L? We'll give Jim an L. We'll talk about an L. Listen, when we come back with the Boxing Authorities. Welcome back to the Boxing Authorities. Now, how many times my boy, who I love to death, said that Rocky Marciano ducked Sonny Liston when Sonny was the ranked #1 contender? So I sent Jim and you. Liston wasn't even ranked in the top 10 when Rocky was champ. So he didn't duck him. He wasn't ranked in the top 10. Now, that's our fantasy fight, our segment, Marciano versus Liston.
Can we
Start-
with
yes,
Jim,
start with
please?
Mr. Frazier. Go ahead.
Because he's the one who sparked this.
Starting with me, well, people like to put words in my mouth. I never said that.
Yeah, you said he ducked him. He was
did,
#1
Jim.
contender.
I never said he ducked him. I said that.
Yeah, you did, every week.
It was convenient that he retired as Liston was coming up. And, Liston was in jail when and he didn't get out of jail till 53. But listen, I just can't
Jail
imagine
blotter.
any fighter beating a guy like a Sonny Liston. He had an 84-inch reach, only fighter in heavyweight history with a longer reach as Tyson Fury. This guy had 15-inch hands. He had to get specially made gloves. Everybody talks about his jab, but he had that hook off the jab that nobody had. That's Cleveland Williams there, another great fighter. Sonny Liston was just, I think, in Rocky's prime, Sonny. But Sonny Liston from 1958, which Rocky was retired for 3 years, because Rocky's last fight was 55.
56.
55 was his last
He
fight.
retired. Okay, I'm sorry.
He retired at 56.
job,
From
my
58 to 64, when Sonny Liston was in his prime, even though he was born in 1919. I don't think anybody could have beat Sonny Liston during those years. Now, if we're talking about prime for prime, I think that's what you want to talk
Yeah.
about, prime for prime.
Yeah.
I think a guy like Mike Tyson would have been a tough win for Sonny Liston because the way he moved his head and
Right.
could get inside. I think Joe Frazier would have been a tough fight for Sonny Liston because Joe, once he got inside, he could deal.
Right.
Now, what hurt Joe Frazier was George Foreman got away with pushing. He would push people away and then knock you out.
Right.
Sonny was a traditional boxer. He didn't
Learn
do
from
that.
Sonny.
So Rocky Marciano, I think, would have been a tough one for Liston to beat because he was a similar fighter. When he got on the inside, he went to work on the inside. So for prime, I got to give my vote to Rocky Marciano.
Luther?
All that just to say Rocky. I thought you were going to go the other way the way you talked about it. Listen, two great fighters. We've seen Rocky. We've seen Sonny. I think it would be toe-to-toe. And where would the mob money be? no, Rocky was a monster. I think he put everything in these punches, man. I think
This
I
guy
know
had the
Rocky.
greatest chin of all time right here, Don Coughlin.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He took some beatings, but I think Rocky, Sonny would be a slugfest.
man. What the
I
hell?
see it going 12, 13 rounds, but I think Rocky, I think he could get him. I think he could get him. We saw Sonny, what Muhammad Ali did to him.
Rolling the stars.
I think Rocky would get him. The mob money would be with Rocky.
Can I
too.
just say one thing before we go to Claudio? Now, I do agree with the computers when they said that Rocky
No,
beats
that-
up Cassius
that
Clay
would
and
never
Muhammad
happen.
Ali.
No.
But I don't think there's a computer ever built that would say Rocky would have beat Sonny Liston. Even though, from my eyes, I go with Rocky, but I think the computer would have picked Sonny Liston. in my opinion.
One thing before I comment on this, I got to go back to Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson fought in those 110, 15
Yeah,
degrees,
good point.
and
Good
it
point.
wasn't 10 rounds. They were fighting 30 rounds.
30
Boy,
rounds.
What the
Yeah.
hell?
To a
These
man
guys are out
couldn't
of
get up
breath.
anymore. They just pick you up as we
Yeah,
saw.
exactly.
Get back in
Right.
there, take some more.
Yeah, so you got to give him that much more credit for that. It wasn't 12 rounds. Those guys fought 100
And then
rounds.
did you see those gloves? It wasn't really a
Those
glove.
were like fists.
Yeah, we
And
might as well
tape,
just do
with
bare bare knuckle
That's right.
fighting back
Did
then,
you know
man.
Jack Johnson had 10 mules?
Oh, here you go with the mules.
Now, Rock,
you're
now
a mule
Sonny
counter.
listens some of his opponents. I mean, if you look at his record outside of Cleveland Williams and obviously Muhammad Floyd, he blew through Floyd
Floyd
like
was scared
crazy.
in that- oh
But he
my
didn't have a big resume. I know he didn't. Okay, Ernie Cobb, Burt Windhurst, Frankie Danielle, Wayne, I can't read this damn thing. Ben Wise, Billy Hunter, Marty Marshall, Larry Watson, Johnny
sound like
Gray,
they're fresh out of
Calvin
Cheers,
Burt
out
Butler,
of the bar.
Marty Mitchell, Johnny Summerlin twice. I mean, you know, he didn't fight a bunch of Hall of Famers.
Was it a great era
Talented?
back then? It
No.
wasn't a great
But the
era.
thing that was different, number one, they say Rocky, when he'd get 10 punches to give one. The fights that he was marked up the most were Ezra Charles and Jersey Walcott won. It isn't like he got the hell, they made it sound like he was like Tony Colento. He got the hell knocked out of him and landed a punch and it was over. No, it wasn't like that. Now, Sonny had a great jab, but how effective was he punching down? And Rocky wasn't easy to hit like they make it, because Rocky would be here, he was all over the place. For me, obviously, I'm going to say Rocky Marciano would win. Now, to his thing all the time with the mob, Frankie Carbo, who was the big dog,
Both
who
of them
ran
got ties,
boxing.
right?
He was the big dog of boxing back then. It's fact. His famous line was, Rocky stays clean. And that was it. He said it to all the families. If you look at Jet Magazine, that article is in there where he said that Rocky stays clean. Now, and what were your thoughts on Rocky's attire?
Just basic.
No, I'm
just
sorry.
basic. Jim,
You know, he's
Jim,
always
Jim
talking
is the
about-
fashion model.
he's a-
What about his hairstyle? How was his hairline, Jim?
All right. Our popular segment, we got to get a little more time for this. Boxing Mailbag at boxingmailbag at yahoo.com. Continue to send your great emails and comments. Comment, Stefano from Buffalo. Love your overrated, underrated segments. Absolutely love the great fantasy fights. Everyone else does Marciano Ali over and over. You guys don't do that. Great matchups. Thank you, Stefano. Terry from Toronto, all three. Would you guys treat boxing trainers like regular sports coaches? You don't win or improve your team, you get fired.
Well, I think that happens with some of them. Yes, I would. I think, like I've always said, I don't like the training right now. I think there's some piss poor training out there. There's analytics with
You
the ropes.
hated the ropes.
No road work. Guys getting tired in the second and third round. Yes, a lot of these guys should be fired.
Jim.
Yes, I'd have banded Emmanuel Stewart from boxing.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
he's
that's
one of the
the
ones
whole thing.
you don't talk
Punk
about.
Jim, stop,
Hell
Jim.
no. Claudio from
slander.
Mike from Schenectady, New York. Are you going to have the author of the new Rocky Marciano book on the show? Yes, we are. John Cameron. In July, we're going to have him on. He was on my show too, but we'll have him on this show for sure. Good book. He's 2 volumes.
listened to that
1923. What's that?
I listened to that show.
Thank
That
you.
was good.
1923, 1949 is volume 1, then 49 to 1969 is the way he's doing it. Big Puncher, you're our boy. Comment from Big Puncher. Better, where I already asked that question. Big Puncher, thank you. All three, Marco, Staten Island, New York. I am in Claudio's corner. Not sure AJ is a surefire Hall of Famer. What signature fight, Luther and Jim, has he done to make him a Hall of Famer?
Well, Klitschko. I mean, that one
One.
he retired, Klitschko. He came back as Andy Ruiz. He's going to have at least 2 fights with Usyk. So, but he's a surefire Hall of Famer.
really?
For what he's done already.
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with everything Luther said.
I'm just not sure. I don't think he's Hall of
Well,
Famer
why
right
wouldn't
now.
he be? I mean, he's
what has
held
he
3
done?
belts for
Yeah,
years.
he's a belt holder.
He's a champion. He's defended it 5
If he
times.
beats Usyk, then we're talking. Luther. Luther. Sammy from Orlando. Will Jake Paul forget about? Does he have a shot to win a major belt?
No. The only belt he's going to win is the one he made. That with all the bells and whistles. No, he has no chance at winning a major belt.
I'll ask you the same.
You got a very good chance.
I have zero chance. Zero chance to win a major belt. I'm not talking about some,
He's
like
gonna
you
keep
said,
fighting
some.
You don't like
YouTubers.
him 'cause he's from
He's going to keep
Cleveland.
fighting YouTubers and MMA guys.
And
Which
the-
is good for him.
I'm
'Cause he's
glad.
from Cleveland, you
I'm
don't
glad,
like him.
and he's fighting Madison Square Garden, main eventing along with Serrano. He's going to bring the
When's he
people.
fighting Tyson? He's
No,
He
fighting
better
Tyson.
not fight Tyson.
No, Fury had to pull out again. Tommy Fury.
Huey.
Tommy
Tommy.
had to pull out.
But he's not fighting
He's
somebody,
not fighting
though.
Jake Paul. He's fighting
He
somebody
was
else.
he was the attraction, not
yeah.
Huey. But he better stay away from
Because
Tyson.
Huey pulled out.
Huey
from
pulled
Hunter.
out, and Tommy Fury pulled
Who
out. He
pulls
was
out
supposed
more,
to fight-
Garcia or the two Furies?
Oh, man. Garcia. The pull-out king, Ryan.
As always, we hope you enjoy our show as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Boxing Authorities.